So let's say you are an individual placing a bet.
Yeah, let's not say. I
15
did.
seconds.
I bet on that, right? So I bet on Leon Edwards.
Did you really?
KO. Yeah, this is wild, right? So this
Are
was
you
like
serious?
This was insane. That's like playing the lottery is not a good retirement plan.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
you should actually invest. Yeah.
And, by the way, they have been far more accurate over the past 7 years than any polling data website
Really?
as far as predicting the outcome.
And then they end up losing, so he's out 500.
Oh my
grand.
God!
So
I
that's rough.
cannot. I cannot imagine.
I'm not playing anywhere near those stakes, right?
Yeah.
It really just amplifies who you kind of are as a person to begin with.
Yeah,
And-
that's what I'm afraid of.
well.
So since FanDuel became available, how much money have you lost?
Okay. So, very personal question, right? I don't mind sharing, though. So it started, 2.5 years ago at this point, right? So in the last 2.5 years, I've lost just over. All right. After a few weeks hiatus, we are back
And better than ever.
and better than ever.
Introducing now. Think Fresh Move Forward Classic. We're back.
We're back. We know all 5 of you out there were like sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for us to be back. So
Something has been missing from your life, and you've wondered what it is. This is it. This is it.
So today's topic is the business of online gambling,
Wild.
which has taken off in recent years.
It's a lot of money in that space.
A lot of money. It is, and for those of you who don't know, you can bet on pretty much anything that exists. But that's been since the beginning of time, beginning of human history. People were betting on things.
Well,
Yeah, there's.
For the longest time, though, they didn't allow gambling online.
Yeah.
It was essentially banned because, I guess, of the human nature to gamble and to become, I would say, degenerate gamblers and waste a lot of money. So
Yeah.
they fought for the hardest or the longest time to prevent people from doing any aspect of online.
well, do you know?
gambling.
Yeah,
And still is some regulation there.
a big element in that though is also the lobbying of big gambling that existed already. Like Vegas did not want legalized online gambling across the country, right?
Oh yeah,
that
that hurts their business
exactly,
model.
right?
They're like,
Yeah.
come here
Totally.
and be here and do that.
Exactly. So you have that, and then you also, I think what really actually made moves and the states started really picking up on online gambling was when states realized that obviously the tax revenue they could get from it, but also lottery being online, right?
Yeah, the
And
lottery.
the ability of people to
I showed them that
buy lottery.
you can now buy lottery tickets through your mobile phone.
Yeah.
You're no longer required to go to a gas station or supermarket chain to get. I don't know if you've ever bought a lottery ticket or
I've
that
not.
experience, because the lottery was just at $1.9 billion, the highest it's ever been in the history of the Virginia lottery. Not Virginia,
Wow.
but lottery. And
Why is that? I wonder.
because no one wins. So the lottery gets bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on until
Until
someone
the
wins.
deadline. Wait, until someone wins.
So someone wins. So again,
So the winning number is not always sold.
and then once it resets,
Oh.
yeah. So once it resets, everything gets reset back to 20 million,
I
and
had
then
no idea.
and it goes back up for there. And as I think usually when it gets over like 300 million, it gets bigger and bigger because more people are excited and more people are willing to spend more money. Therefore, the jackpot gets larger. And I think the previous largest lottery was 1.4 billion, and
It
this
seems
one,
like a good retirement plan. I think you could bank on that. If
Yeah.
you just spent all of your savings on lottery tickets.
There's some like public access commercial on the radio right now that's exactly referencing that. That's like playing the lottery is not a good retirement plan.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
you should actually invest.
No, they don't know what they're talking about.
so one
Follow
person
me for more tips and tricks.
one person did win it. So that one's over. One person in California had the ticket. I don't know if they've come forward or not. I would, if any state to win the lottery, I think California is the worst.
I watched a documentary on the lives of people that win the lottery,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's interesting. It's
a cautionary tale, no doubt.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
It's not-
See, money,
They end up being really weird.
right?
Like that's so some of them it ruins their life. Some of them they just keep being more of what they already are, but they all end up being weird, right?
Well,
Yeah.
there are
because
still
it's a multiplier of personality.
right. There's still a few people that have won the lottery that have done exceptionally well. The
Mhm.
thing is, those people were already well versed in money.
Yeah.
The reason why most people who win lottery winnings tend to not be experienced with money, and they have bad money habits. And then, like you said, when you get a large sum of money and you have bad money habits, it's not automatically corrected. You just end up being worse with it. So that's why, like, their lives are destroyed. And honestly, their lives aren't really destroyed. It's just you have less happy connections, but you just have more money and probably more assets and maybe more debt. But it just
Well, yeah, and the other factor in that is that some states require you to be publicly known and other states don't.
it's true.
So if you have to like announce yourself as a winner, everyone that
Comes
you've
out of
ever
the woodwork.
interacted with in your entire life
Yeah.
comes out of the woodwork to try to
So,
get you to invest in whatever else, right?
like in the state of Virginia, if you win the lottery, if it's over $10 million in winnings, you can remain anonymous. If it's not, you have to like do a whole public, PR. It's a PR stunt. It's more of a marketing stunt for them.
Yeah.
And before it didn't used to be that. So if you won the lottery, you have to show your face and all that stuff. And then they publicly say who your name is. And that's where bad people come out of the woodwork.
All right, you won the lottery like 5 minutes ago. What are you doing with it?
I'm not here.
I am.
So, you're talking about the 1.9
because you
million?
enjoy our company so much? Is that what
That's
you're
it.
saying? Yeah.
That's
So,
exactly what it is.
If I won the lottery, I would take the lump sum. I would not do the annuity plan because, yes, you get more money over a 30-year period if you do the annuity plan versus taking the lump sum. So if you won the $1.9 billion jackpot, the lump sum, what you get is $997 million. So you give up a huge chunk of change,
To have it all now.
but then you're taxed on that $997 million.
Mhm.
So in the state of Virginia, that'll be with federal income tax and the state income tax, it'd be about 42% you'd lose. So give or take, you pay $420 million in taxes. Now, I would be doing a crap ton of aspects to try to offset as much of that $420 million as I could, and that will come down to buying assets as fast as I can in the state of Virginia because I only have
Yeah,
a
but
month
what?
and a half.
Well, the question isn't like how you're going to maneuver the situation. Which, the question is, how does as much money as you could ever need change your life?
Well, it just gives you opportunity to do more things with it, and you can do things a lot faster and scale things a lot
So
faster.
you scale your life. You scale what you're doing now.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
what you do with it.
I would totally build my dream, studio. The $15-20 million I would need.
Oh
to
yeah,
build it,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
So I would need money for
I'd
that.
have the 360 video wall. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I think Brian's approach would be very different than my approach, right? My approach would basically be, oh, now I can do some things I'm really passionate about, but it's probably going to be one or two things. And that's how I've always been, right? I do one thing, like, that's my focus. I don't do, like, a million things.
Yeah.
And then the rest is probably just invested in S&P 500 ETF and just ride it for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so I have fun money now.
I would
have
only
the
throw.
ability to-
I would only throw $5 to $10 million to an investor or someone to manage that aspect of chunk of funds. I would not allow $500 million to ride on the S&P.
Obviously, at that net worth, you can have a hedge fund, managing your money, right? Because those have minimums usually of like $1 million, right?
Yeah.
So sure. I mean, I would have some kind of aggressive assets. I would have some that are more conservative, but generally speaking, I'm not going to be the type of person that's sitting there thinking, oh, I need to like take all of this and do as much as I can with it. It's like that scene in Office Space where it's like, if you had $1 million, what would you do, right? And then Samir's like, I would take half of it and put it in diverse mutual funds. It's like, no, that's not the point of the question. The point of the question is, what would you do? What
does your life look like?
Yeah.
After
Well, the
that?
reason why I say I would do
Ideally.
that as fast as I could is because to offset that $420 million tax bill.
No, I totally
I
get
wouldn't
that.
spend all $500 million.
Yeah.
But some people are like, oh, people they win the lottery and then they buy a private jet, and then they don't realize the cost of that. But here's the thing: you can actually make money with a private jet by doing private jet charters.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you could do to
Yeah,
offset.
Sure.
But
So-
in the aspect of online gambling, though, is that the fact that they've made it easily accessible to buy lottery tickets and also do scratch off games. I mean, it's like think of like slot machine games, but now on your phone. That's dangerous.
Yeah. No, it is. So let's take this from a big hypothetical, which is winning the mega lotto, whatever, to grounded in reality, which is any individual right now who's 21 years of age or older can download an app and start gambling like in 5 minutes, right? So, let's start there, right? So just like fundamentally, where all of us are coming from in this conversation, you don't do gambling at all, really, right?
Nope.
No. Okay. I do sports gambling, right? I don't play the lotto, though, and you play the lotto, right?
I play it when it's over a certain amount.
You've bet on some of the political, like, races or whatever.
So there's
How much do you spend?
on,
You don't mind me asking.
on lottery. So
Do you buy one ticket or like do you spend a
no.
dollar
So
amount?
when it was like I only bet on the lotto when it gets over like 200 million, and I throw like one ticket per 200 million. That's so if the lotto's at 400 million, I'll buy 2 tickets. That's $4. Now, when it hit 1.9 billion, I spent like $150 because to me, $150 if I lose it, sure, whatever. But here's the thing: you can still win money on the lotto by matching 2 out of 3 of the ball numbers. So I won like $20 out of that. I got $20 back out of that 150 I spent, and I just used it to buy future lotto tickets. I don't bother withdrawing. But I don't do sports gambling.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a degenerate. Like I've been in line. I remember when you had to buy lotto tickets last time when it was like 1.4 billion. I remember there was a lady in front of me who dropped $1,000
Oh my god.
on lotto tickets. I know she didn't win. I mean, she probably won some money back, but I could tell that wasn't her.
Yeah.
It was discretionary income.
Yeah.
It was like I'm hoping this is going to change my life, and I'm screwed if I don't.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like
That
blowing
that
their
makes me
Friday
sick to my
paycheck
There
stomach.
was
on that.
one
That's
lady.
awful.
I also remember it was a lady
Makes
who
me sick to my
started a
stomach.
GoFundMe campaign, who spent $150,000 of her life savings on the lottery, back in whenever it was a 1.4 billion years ago. I think it was like 2018, 2019. She started GoFundMe, and people were actually giving her money because they felt bad. But then GoFundMe is like, nah, and they got rid of it. But
So
I think that's messed up.
here's what I find interesting, right? And it's the business side of particularly sports gambling, right? Because that's where my interest is, right? Obviously, there's a whole thing with the lotto and the state and how they allocate funds, whatever. But in the business of sports gambling,
well, they don't allocate.
Here's
funds.
what's interesting, right? Every single game that exists, you can not only bet on the outcome of the game, you can bet on how much a team wins by, you can bet how many points are scored, you can bet how many yards a particular player gets in football, let's say. You can then take all of those
hold on,
and put them together.
How do you gamble for that? Like this, I think this person is going to go X amount of yards. What happens if they go over the yards?
Yeah. So if you did over a certain number,
Oh my god.
then you win. If you go under a certain
So
number,
you
then you might
specify
lose.
it? And they're calculating odds on that?
So here's what it is, right? So this is actually a great question. So the premise of all of these platforms is that they have odds makers, right? So super smart guys in Vegas, right? Essentially,
These
that
are
are
people,
setting
not
these
AI?
numbers. It is AI too, right? Both. So what they'll do is they'll usually at the beginning of the week, individuals look at all of the data, right? Team winning percentages, history against teams, the weather that week, all of the factors that could factor into a game.
The
and then
amount
what
of
they're going to
attention
do,
makes me want to vomit.
then here's what happens,
That
right?
it takes.
Let's take last night. Last night was Monday Night Football, and the Washington Commanders, my team, unfortunately, but not last night because we won. But being a Washington sports fan is an unfortunate thing, and so played the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles were undefeated, right? They are the clear favorite in that game. So what Vegas can't do is just have everybody betting on either the Eagles or Washington who will win, because everyone would say the Eagles are going to win, right? Because they are a clear favorite. So what do? They have to set the line. And the line is 11.5 last night, 11.5 points. So what does that mean? That means that when you bet on Washington, you're betting that Washington will either win, which is pretty low likelihood, but they could, or they'll lose by less than 11.5.
So it's more
evens out, right? So
you
they're trying to get
So it gives an incentive for you to bet on your team.
On Washington. Yeah.
It makes you more excited and more invested in your team winning.
Well,
Interesting.
and what they want is
psychologically, that's really interesting.
Well, and here's what happens. You need that because the only way they're going to make money is if they get approximately equal amount of dollars bet on each side of the equation.
Really?
Because if you had all the money on one side and the other team ends up winning, then that sports book is going to be losing their ass on paying out these bets, right? So last night, actually, that kind of happened because Washington was a huge dog, right? Meaning like they were like underdog, not expect to win. They won. And what's crazy about that is like,
did you
for
bet
example, I did. Not to win the game. I wish I had. I didn't have.
Oh, wait, no,
I didn't have the cojones to bet on them on the money line, which would have paid out fivefold. It was plus like 500, right?
Oh wow.
Here's what's interesting about it though. A guy last night laid $500,000 on the Eagles to win. So he laid $500,000 on just them to win, not win by 11.5.
Just win, period.
Just win. And he's thinking this is like a pretty sure thing, right? And his payout was going to be pretty low because of that, but it was going to be a pretty sure thing. And then they end up losing, so he's out 500.
Oh my god! I cannot imagine.
I'm not playing anywhere near those stakes, but
No.
you know, last night, for example, right? Them winning 11.
Has anybody checked on him? Is he okay?
I don't know.
Do we need to send somebody
Hopefully
over?
that's discretionary funds. Yeah.
Oh god! Oh my gosh! That's just gut wrenching for him.
You use FanDuel.
I use FanDuel. There's also DraftKings. There's Caesar Sportsbook. There's MGM. There's
Barstool. Barstool has one.
WinBet. Yeah. There's a ton of them now. Here's what's amazing about them, though. You can bet anything and then parlay all these things together. A parlay is where you need like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 things all to happen, right? In which case the multiplier on your payout's like way higher, but the likelihood of it happening is obviously lower.
You could bet
right?
$5, and if it happens, you could win $100,000, depending on
depending on how aggressive that parlay is, right? But here's what's interesting about it: like they not only allow you to bet pregame, they now allow in-game betting. So this is where the computers come into play and the algorithms. The odds are constantly changing. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It is a second-by-second basis it's changing. Like if a play happens in the game, immediately those lines all update on the app.
So if you locked in your bet, let's say you bet on Washington to win.
Yeah.
And you lock in your bet before the game. The odds as they begin to win and things begin to happen and things start to line up, like the bet becomes less valuable as it was in the beginning.
Potentially, or more valuable, right?
More valuable,
In which case, if it's more valuable, they'll actually offer you a cash-out value, where they'll basically say, hey, we'll pay you this much in cash-out to just take it now, because if you keep riding this and they end up winning, we're going to get, like, screwed here. So we're going to pay you a cash-out that's less, right, to get you to do it, right?
I tell you what, they've
it's down.
I
mean, it is insane. In fact, Aaron, would you mind pulling up the FanDuel Sportsbook just so you can visually see how this works, right? I mean, because it's insane. You can bet on quite literally
I don't
anything.
think you're logged in.
No, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be logged in. You just need to go to sportsbook.fanduel.com. I thought I had it open there, but maybe I didn't. Sportsbook.fanduel.com. Yeah, there you go. So this is it right here. So like, go over to NFL on the left there. And if you scroll down here, you can look at like Tennessee Titans and Green Bay Packers, right? So right now, the Green Bay is favored -3. So they're favored by 3 points to win the game, right?
Okay. So that's fairly even then, yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty close, right? Usually if it's a home team, they give them a 3-point edge, right? Because there's an advantage to being at home.
It feels like this information would be a really, like, possibly the most accurate estimations.
It's incredible. I mean, they're on point. Like, sometimes it's amazing how close their original estimates were at the beginning of the week, and then what ends up the outcome, right?
So this guy who bets $500,000, and let's say that the Eagles win, right? How much is he actually making? Is he making $100,000?
He was going to make very little, right? Because they were such a big favorite. And again, if you're betting on something that's a more sure thing, you're going to get a lower payout. So his payout would have only been about 100,000. Yeah, so about 20% of what he bet.
My man thought he was making an investment.
Exactly, right? He's like, oh, yeah, I get 20%, right?
To your note, as far as things, this is a accurate way of figuring out what's going to be the outcome versus people just using history or whatever to predict something. There's that. Can you bring up the Predict website? This is the only legal site in the United States where you can predict on elections.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have been far more accurate over the past 7 years than any polling data website
Really?
as far as predicting the outcome. And you can like go to markets or hit U.S. elections.
I tell you what.
So it's you could literally bet on different things like who's going to take control of the
Donald
House.
Trump. They got Donald Trump whether or not he's going to run for president before 2023.
You can bet on who's going to take control of the Senate, who's going to win whatever seat in whatever state or city. And there's a ton of people that do this, and this has been far more accurate as far as predicting who's going to win in whatever. Obviously, there's some wrong aspects,
of course.
but at the end of the day, when money's involved, people
Things get accurate.
Things tend to be
yeah.
because people don't want to lose.
I love it. I love it.
So obviously, Trump files for president before 2023. I'm pretty confident that's going to happen.
So let's go back for a second. When money gets thrown into the scenario, people tend to forget their feelings and biases, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It
can. Sometimes though it works against you, right? And that's where if you're like a real fanboy of a particular, in this case, a politician, right? Or in the case of a football team, like that's your team, that can totally cloud your judgment, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like very pessimistic about Washington football. And so even though I'm a fan of Washington football, I actually bet against them whenever I can because I'm like so pessimistic about the chances of outcome. Now, last night by one of my friends, I was talked into betting on them, and it worked out, right?
Yeah,
Which is great. But
how much you win?
I won.
Are you quitting?
No, I won $82, $86.
Over the history.
However,
of
I lost some money because I also bet on individuals to score touchdowns.
Did you net a gain?
No, it was a net loss. Yeah, exactly. I gave away my net win on the game to bet on individual prop. So actually, do this, Aaron. Go back for me to FanDuel, and then click on more wagers on Green Bay and Tennessee, for example, just like underneath. Yeah, right there.
That's so disappointing.
I know, exactly, right? Now look at this. Look at this. So this is all the different things you can bet on for any one of these particular games. So you can do anytime touchdown scorer, or this is first touchdown to be scored in the game.
Oh my God.
And then, if you bet go up to the first touchdown score, that's pretty wild. And you just look here all right, if I want A.J. Dillon, it's plus 800. So it means if I put $10 on A.J. Dillon to score the first touchdown, and he does, it's going to pay out $80 from 10, right? But the likelihood of that happening is pretty low, so that's why the payout's pretty big.
Those numbers are, I think they're psychologically tricky because when I see those numbers, I'm like, I could just put $1 and win $800.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the way you feel. I know that's not reality, but that's the way you feel. It's like, oh, $1 means 800.
Yeah, no, that's not how that works. So one would pay you $8.
$8.
But so this is what's pretty amazing. And then once the game starts, again, every one of these numbers is constantly changing on a second by second.
So since FanDuel became available, how much money have you lost?
Okay. So very personal question, right? I don't mind sharing though. So it started 2.5 years ago at this point, right? So in the last 2.5 years, I've lost just over $3,000 in 2.5 years.
But in overall though,
no, that's my net, right? So that's what I've lost net. So the reason I view that as a massive win is because I watch insane amounts of sports in that period of time, and the amount of enjoyment that I've gotten out of that.
But take away that net. How much money winnings have you won, and then how much have you lost? So like our buddy of ours, I remember when he was down he's done what, 100K or something?
At least. So yeah, because here's the thing: when you're laying action, right? Some of it's coming back to you, some of it's going out, right? Whatever it is.
Oh.
So I think my buddy is up to about 500,000 now in like total bets laid, right? It doesn't mean
And
you've
what is his
lost
net?
500,000.
Roughly, what?
I think his is like tenfold me typically. So like he's probably 15 or 20,000 down, maybe more.
So there's an excitement factor that it's bringing that
totally
that you feel like you're
totally.
paying for.
And in his case, he actually has a host, right? Like somebody that sends him like, hey, bet this, you'll get $200 in free bets, right? Because like it's like a personal host, just like when you go to Vegas.
The fact that
It's a personal
casino
shopper.
there's a casino host,
But
right?
it's crazy
So-
though to think that he has personally won and lost $500,000 almost.
No, but
Or-
it's not. It's just how much you laid, right? The net is really what is the amount that's actually you're winning or losing. That's
Right,
So is
right.
he a
net
net
loss
loss?
or net profit.
Oh, he's
right?
lost like 20K.
Yeah. So over the course of like 2.5 years, right?
You're paying for the entertainment and
You are.
The
You are.
excitement.
the adrenaline, the excitement that you get.
I mean, there are. Don't get me wrong. All of this discussion needs to be like prefaced by the fact that there are people who have serious issues, right, and are like total degens, right, as they
Well,
call them,
because
degenerates
it's
that end up
it's
having
that
this
chemical
addiction.
balance, that addiction that you get. That
Sure.
It's dopamine, man.
that dopamine effect. that
Dopamine
you
is
get.
everything. I was listening to somebody who said that dopamine is responsible for some of the greatest factors of motivation in individuals, but it's also responsible for almost every addiction that people have.
Yeah, and in this case, it is highly addictive, and we are putting something in front of these individuals that is incredibly easy to do, right? Because it's never been easier than just being able to pull out your phone and being able to lay bets, right?
Mhm.
But for people who
But-
enjoy the fact that, like for me, it's about making every single game I watch more interesting, right? And you think about how much people spend to go to games, how much people spend to get season tickets to games, right? That's why I said when I went up to Northern Virginia, I went to D.C. and I went to a Nats game, right? And they had a promo running where if you bet $25, you got a free bet of $25. So if you bet it and you lose, you get $25 back in free bets. I was like, okay, I'm laying that, and it was I laid a 4-leg parlay that paid out 500 plus 500, right? Which meant I was going to profit 125 off of that, right? And so it was, different things. So and so to hit a home run, Nats to win, Nats to score a certain number of runs, all that. And I'm sitting up in the stands, and one of the guys next to me is like an older gentleman, right? And he's like, "What? You bet $25 on this, right?" And he was like blown away by the fact that I was willing to like lose money at this. And I was like, "Hey, you spent how much on season tickets?" Right? He's like, thousands. I'm like, well, that's what it is, right? You spent thousands on season tickets. I'm just gonna do it in smaller microtransactions, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
So the dopamine effect, back
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
I mean, that applies to everything in business and marketing. Is how can you apply your marketing and sales task? Again, the casinos have done a really great job of marketing and changing your concept of reality to obviously to continue to place bets
Yes.
in your and thinking that's going to be in your favor, and in the vast majority of the time it's the house always
It's not.
wins.
Exactly.
So, but the same thing from a marketing standpoint, from the video, is it's trying to achieve that dopamine effect to convince someone to buy something where they then feel satisfied
Yeah.
after buying a product. Some people have a bad shopping habit where they're constantly buying because they get that dopamine
Yeah.
effect.
Sure.
And I get it sometimes too when I'm buying new things.
It's
And
thrilling.
I know you do
It's
it. Like
thrilling.
you bought a new camera.
Oh my
and it
gosh,
hits
it's
you
a
for like
Mhm.
it's like a 30, maybe 15 seconds, maybe 30-minute, effect where you feel high about on yourself, and then it completely dissipates. And then
See, but
what new thing can I buy?
Yeah, but-
so
camera stuff though, you can there's layers of enjoyment. Like,
but see, it's the same thing with everything. It's the same
Yeah.
time people get
Yeah.
with the game. I get the dopamine effect of me. Like he doesn't play the lottery, but he spends thousands of dollars on sports gambling. But then criticizes me paying to the Virginia lottery, and I only put $100 down every once in a while, and I do win some money back. But it's that I play it because I get that dopamine effect. What could I do? It's that 15 or 20 minutes of thinking of fantasizing. What would I
What
do
would I
with
do with that money?
1.9 billion? Because it's just not a thing I think about all the time. But I think it's fun. It's exciting. And then if I don't win it, I'm like, shit. and then I go about my life.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you're not somebody that is predisposed to be addicted to it, right? And there are people that have real issues that it's now become a real problem.
In the aspect of business, I think business owners, or when they hire marketing companies, is they should focus on how can you achieve that dopamine effect with your end client or prospect,
Sure, yeah.
where they feel satisfied or excited to work with you. And at the end of the day, that's why you even get business where someone buys your product or buys your service, because they feel satisfied. And they get, obviously, there's different levels of dopamine effects.
Well, so here's the other thing that's interesting, right? So go over here, Aaron, to the left, and do you see promos? Click on promos for me. Now, Aaron's not logged in to my account or anything right here, but you can see these are different promotions they're currently running, right? When you haven't created an account yet, they have these really tasty promotional offers, right? So they have $1,000 risk-free bet, meaning if you put $1,000 into the platform, they'll pay you out $1,000 in free bets. It doesn't mean you're getting $1,000 back, but it means you now have $1,000. Like, they're basically saying, no matter what, even if you lose your bet, we're going to give you a credit, right? If you win, then you get to keep all of the money that you won. Cool, right? But I share this with you because they've gotten...
I'm still mad that you did not sign up through my link, and I didn't get that free $50 when FanDuel first came out.
No, I signed up through somebody else's link probably. But here's what I'll say on this. This is where the algorithms and their promotional marketing team have this down to a science, right? So all the time they'll send out special promotions or exclusive offers, right? So, for example, if I just took a big loss on a particular game and my account balance was really low, they might send me an offer that says, hey, deposit bonus. You deposit $100, we'll give you $50. So it's like basically I triggered some system in there to send out a notification to me that says, hey, if you do this and deposit more, we're going to get you $50, right? Which is that's where they're tricky. And that's why these companies are starting to crack the code and see record profits. In fact, Aaron, can you go to that CBS News article? For the first time, one of these online sportsbooks last year actually reported a profit, right? So DraftKings...
Wait, they haven't been reporting profit?
No, they haven't been. No. Now, the reason they haven't is because they've been advertising and marketing like crazy, right? So, the ad buys that they had in these different states. So as soon as Virginia legalized it 2.5 years ago, they slammed all of the local TV networks with commercials, right? So you see here, DraftKings reported $1.3 billion in revenue.
Don't you just want to get in there and make some of their content? I just want to get in there and film some stuff.
So you'll see here, the reason the investors haven't been too heavy on them, they're not trading for a lot in the stock market right now, is for that exact reason, right? That they spent so much advertising to acquire customers, a common predicament for younger companies seeking growth. But here's the thing. They're basically, it's like the modern version of cigarettes, right? Because it's so addictive, right? Mm-hmm. So their acquisition, even if their customer acquisition is insane, even if they have to spend $500 or $1,000 per client to acquire them, the lifetime value of that client is off the charts, just like cigarette companies, right? Where the lifetime value of a smoker was insane, right?
So they'll throw in an extra $1,000 because
it's insane.
I hate people.
It's pretty nuts. It's pretty conniving. Don't get me wrong.
If I opened the door to this, I'd be in the gutter. I'd be in the gutter because they would
I don't
get me.
think so, though, because here's the thing. That's what, again, we talked about lottery winnings, amplifying kind of who you are already. This is the same thing, too, right?
Yeah.
It really just amplifies who you kind of are as a person to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Well,
so you can buy all the camera equipment.
What I'm saying is you buy camera equipment, but you don't buy so much camera equipment that you're out on the street broke, right?
Yeah.
So, you have some
level of control.
Yeah, you have some limiter there that prevents you. Just enough.
It's being married.
So DraftKings was started in 2012 by a few Vistaprint employees.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Interesting.
And obviously they started small, and I think they had some level of investment. And then they've grown and grown year after year.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But
Yeah, they're getting ready to kill it. I mean, they're not there yet.
And I don't believe they were Vistaprint people who founded Vistaprint. They just worked for Vistaprint. They
which company is this?
DraftKings.
DraftKings.
So the two big dogs in the space are DraftKings and FanDuel.
Okay.
I would say are the two biggest online sports books, and then you have the smaller ones like Barstool Sports, and then
Well, you still have some other big ones too, like Caesars is dropping a lot of money into it. BetMGM, because those are traditional casinos, right?
if you're gonna say
that
household names for sports books, these are the two.
These are the two that are the longest running in the online sports booking game, right?
Yeah.
But Caesar got into it this year. BetMGM, WinBet, all of those are into it too, and
So
yeah.
I want to compare ads between DraftKings and FanDuel. So Aaron, can you bring up? Let's play DraftKings. Yeah, let's start from the. I think this
All
is
right,
the one
let's see. Let's see if
this is with Kevin Hart.
let's see if they can get a new. Well, they're not going to, but
Oh, we don't know.
let's
This
see
30
how it
seconds
goes.
could hit
Let's
the
see if
dopamine
this
effect.
would do it. Maybe this will do
Let's
it.
see.
Maybe we need to go to
Lamar,
next week.
Zeke, what? Stefan, you've all been summoned to the Kevin verse.
You gotta be kidding me.
You're here because you're on my DraftKings Rainmakers fantasy team. I've collected your digital player cards, and you're gonna help me build my NFT fantasy franchise. Zeke, you're gonna catch a cold in that crop top. Maybe you should consider putting your belly button away.
I liked him better when he was tiny.
Lamar, keep talking, and I'll put you on a tiny bench.
Get a free full roster pack of digital player cards and start building your DraftKings NFT fantasy franchise.
All right, didn't care about that at all.
Yeah, now here's why you didn't. That's a lot more niche, because what that is that's actually fantasy football roster building. Totally different than what I showed you with Sportsbook, which is you just bet on a game, outcome of the game. That's like, okay, my players get points, those points add up. I
But
compete
from a
with other
production
people.
value standpoint, what do you think of how that was done?
Okay, so it looks like they're on a stage, right? So that icon in front of them, they saved a bunch of money by just by using a custom a spotlight with a custom gobo, and then they're in some. So it is a big room. So that the rental cost of that room, and like you see the wind that they were using.
It's
a
a big studio.
Yeah, it's a big studio because they're using lights on DMX, which is why they're able to control that flashing.
It was definitely done
then-
on a cyclorama.
The easiest thing, maybe.
I don't think that was done in like one of those like LED wall stages.
No, not LED wall. They don't need a cyclorama. All they need is
Just green screen.
yeah. They
Green
just
screen
need
that, yeah.
or not even green screen. They can just use black there. All they need is big studio space is all. The easiest part was Kevin Hart's face. That's super easy.
I'm curious in what agency did that and charged them for
Yeah.
to do something like
Well,
this.
from like a storytelling perspective, what I like about this is they're like leaning into contradictions, right? Because they're leaning into Kevin Hart's a very small man, right? And now he's got a big face, right?
That's
so
funny.
that's kind of interesting, right? And,
His size is finally matching his personality.
there you go, right? Yeah, that's cool.
All right, let's go to next one. This is Caesar Sportsbook.
They've got me now. This is my arena. Just kidding. I have no idea. Just looks opulent.
Are you a referee?
Apple, Omaha, fade,
illegal
fade,
substitution.
pylon.
Interception.
How many words? Breaking into words.
Oh, I knew it. Helmet catch.
Stop guessing the helmet catch.
Is it the Caesar Sportsbook app with Caesar's rewards where the more you play, the more stuff you earn, and they have fast payouts because Caesar is the man? Yes! Is that a thing? What?
How is that even possible?
Nice job, Coach.
It's 27 words. Worst clues ever.
Pretty obvious.
Impossible. Who guesses that?
Cooper's my favorite, Archie!
I think that was very boring.
Okay, why did you think it was boring?
I know they're trying to play charades and all.
Because
But-
you're not connected to those players.
Yes,
That's why.
right. And
Well, I know who all those players are.
Yeah, I do too.
I just think that was
well, here's the
you
thing.
could have conveyed the message of promoting something new, like the fact that Caesars has a sports book, versus that just seemed very lazy to me.
Okay, so here's why, in my opinion, the reason it didn't connect with you two, right, is because there were like half a dozen niche references from those players' time in the league, right?
Yeah.
So he's talking about the helmet catch, right? Well,
Yeah.
that was when Eli Manning was in the Super Bowl, right?
They've
And so-
identified their ideal client as
Yeah.
someone who is really into sports,
There you
and
go.
so they are just pinging dopamine
Yes,
because
exactly.
they feel cool for
Yeah.
like knowing all those things.
Yeah,
and
even
they're
like
just-
Peyton Manning going Omaha. That was like his thing, right?
Yeah.
When he was at the line, he'd always
That's
say
right.
Omaha. So
Yeah.
so like
So they're not going after newbie.
They are.
No,
for
no.
this one.
because
Now-
that's not who's going to be watching sports anyway.
exactly. Now watch this. Let's go to that FanDuel commercial because that FanDuel commercial is going after a broader audience, right? Which I think is interesting. Yeah, here we go.
We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag.
I would never pick up that guy. Sorry.
And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet. But life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. And make every moment more.
Yeah, so that was exciting.
Yeah, and for
Right?
you, it's like, hey, it's basically saying, hey, you bet on everything else in life. Why not, make some money for doing it, right?
Yeah,
So again, broader audience, just kind of everyday stuff, right?
yeah.
Um,
What's interesting to me is their choice of first shot, right? So first shot is always a big freaking deal because like
oh, with that commercial.
with any
We'll make a
commercial,
new
any
bet
ad,
around-
first shot is so critical, and so they're
Yeah,
what
look at
they're-
that. That's like basically you looking at the phone.
Yeah, they're like, this is how you interact with this.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's pretty.
I
That's
love
pretty
that.
money, right? And it's like even a shaky camera, so it gives you a perspective of like
You're riding in a car.
you're
it's
actually doing
like
it.
it's realism. Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. That's interesting. Very cool. Do we have any other?
I think we
ads?
have two more. These are FanDuel ones.
So FanDuel's the one we just watched. Yeah.
Yeah, this is another one.
What are the odds of our existence? The odds of a cosmic explosion into life forming into evolution.
This is deep.
The odds of your parents
questions here.
even meeting. On the same rainy Tuesday, your dad had a hankering for waffles. And your mom dumped her high school sweetheart and
My mom
best
didn't
sales
look like
rep in
that,
the
guys.
tri-state area, Chad Van Camperdink. And odds of that leading to the night of the 89 divisional playoffs. And after that, the odds of you being you is 1 in 250 million. So what is life? The chance. And every moment in it, a bet. Like betting on hearing your alarm. Betting on the shower temperature. Betting if the milk is still milk. Betting on whether empty really means empty. Betting on those generic discount snacks. Betting on not double bagging your groceries. Betting on your friends' game day punctuality. And still betting on those generic discount snacks. Betting on that new gourmet pizza place. Betting on the reliability of your cable provider. Betting on your electrical engineering abilities. And betting on the weather. Yes, every moment in life is a bet. But when it comes to the NFL, bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, and make every moment more.
So
Great job.
that
Yeah.
was really well done.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that was more of a generic.
Yep.
That they had.
It's shocking that was only 30 seconds.
that felt longer.
It felt like you were really. It was very engaging. It was
Yeah.
very engaging.
Was the other one 30 seconds as well, Aaron? The one next to
Cornhole?
it.
Yeah, they've all been 30 seconds.
So both of these are betting on the game of life. I think this was a better, well done versus the other.
Yeah,
one.
I hadn't seen this one yet because I don't know if they're running this as much as the other one, or maybe it's brand new.
Well,
So-
it means they split tested it and the other one's working better
Could very well be.
because it's more probably because it's more fun.
Well,
It's
also,
more
by the way,
relatable.
the other one, they're also probably running in specific states. I don't know if you noticed, but on the actual app screen of the one in the car, it's Washington against the Colts. So they're running that in Virginia. So
Yeah.
So again, it's like it's a state specific ad, right?
And you know that there is an incredibly frustrated editor that they're telling, hey, we need this one to say Washington Colts. And he's like, for the love of God, it's all the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for that though, for the other one, go back, Aaron. That initial shot, that's just an easy CGI replacement. So that can be replaced with any team
Yeah, no, but
because
the work of that is so tedious, it makes you want to kill yourself.
True. That may be at the end of the day that the agency is being paid a crap ton of money to do it.
Yeah.
The owner
Yeah, and I'm
that
sure-
doesn't care about the editors.
Yeah.
So they got the
I need
other
you guys
states
to care about my
listed here.
feelings.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
I'm sure they did other things for other states, but
But like,
that's what I've
if you
seen
hit
anyways.
play and just go through the part where they're at the tailgate, I'm pretty confident there's not a single actual. Okay, no, this is a
So
Colts related one.
They all have Colts, and you see Washington Colts. So I think actually
So-
this ad was specifically tailored for Virginia. I don't know that
Or
Indiana.
at least Northeast.
Yeah, I don't
But
know
they
that
could have easily
Indianapolis.
filmed 10 variations of this and had people just swap out different clothes and still have the same
I
effect.
bet you
Yeah.
I wonder if they did.
I don't know.
I wonder
Anyways.
if they did.
Do we have one more?
There's one more.
That's not. Yeah, that's not too difficult of a. Anyway, go ahead.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You seriously think they're gonna win?
Hey, your rug's coming up.
Oh, that was intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, FanDuel Sportsbook is offering a risk-free first bet. I could put $100 in the coin toss and get my money back if I lose. Anyway, if FanDuel is gonna take the risk out of the world, it's on me to add it back.
No, it's not.
Can I charge my phone?
Sure. That actually wasn't part of this.
Join FanDuel Sportsbook and get your first bet risk-free on any bet up to $500.
That entire house is a studio. That's not a real house.
Yep.
I could tell from when he fell down the stairs, I'm like, okay, this is definitely shot in a studio. Because no one has high traffic carpet in their house.
That's cool.
But no, that was well done. It was,
Yeah.
It's a choice.
I mean, they have
whole choice looks
you know,
good.
obviously some pretty insane budgets for this
So
sort of thing now.
now
so.
that's just sports gambling. But now we talked about the Virginia Lottery. Now there's now a whole aspect where you can now bet on table games. So you don't even have to go to Vegas to play roulette or blackjack. I mean, you've been able to play blackjack online, and then of course you played some digital version of like roulette, but that's almost seems like very fixed. But if you go to like stake.com, Aaron, this site lets you. It's all the way on the left. This is a site where you can literally bet on table games, and what it is, there's a video camera, over essentially, watching the dealer, as it were.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, and this is another industry that's been slowly taken off. They don't have as much leeway yet in the United States, like because this site, when you first are prompted, like you can't even be in the United States to access the site.
Oh, you need a VPN or you need to be.
You have to be
somewhere else.
outside the United States to do it. They do have a U.S. version, but it seems to be broken. But they've been sponsoring like Drake and a lot of other influencers. So like go to the Drake's video, it's that first YouTube clip, and just like go halfway through it and just turn the volume down. We don't need to hear it. But you see,
Yo, Mike.
he's doing it's a stream. He's doing I think he did this on Twitch. He was streaming him playing roulette and doing these ridiculous bets where he's betting $500,000. Granted, I know Drake could probably afford it, but I believe Stake has him essentially as an influencer for this, gives him all the money to bet back into the platform, and he gets to keep the winnings if he wins. And I think, I remember this live stream, it's like 2 hours long, but he ended up going as high as $30 million in winnings and then losing it all in like the matter of like 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
So I think, like, fast forward a little bit. He's still on this call. There was a counter. Earlier in the video. There's a counter at the bottom left-hand corner. Super early. See if it's just blown up there. So like here he's playing blackjack. So his balance is 13.5 million, and his total bet right now
that's cool.
is
I like that interface.
52,000. So this is some random casino, if it's even an actual casino, obviously in a different country, and he's just betting
like you're at the table.
At the table.
So what's interesting about this, right, is they're obviously, because these are all typical casino gambling games, for them they're
by the way, Drake
much
is
more sure thing.
By the
for
way,
the house.
Drake is playing all the hands.
Yeah.
So that's why it's 452,000. He's betting on every single pot right there.
Yeah.
It's called deep pockets.
Well,
Of course
and
it
this is fundamentally different than sports betting, right? Because sports betting, they have to be very careful about how they set the line and getting the numbers right, and like not getting cleaned on like the bets.
He's playing roulette and blackjack at the same time.
This is
Holy
standard.
heck.
Yeah, this is standard casino games, right? Meaning like if you go to a casino and you bet on blackjack, the odds are always in the favor of the house, no matter what, right? Like you have. Like, there's no way to get it where you could win 51% of the time.
I think
it's always
though,
going to be 49 or less.
You probably have more of a trust factor though gambling on
those kind of games
because
sure.
you're not playing against like a digital version
Yeah,
of that.
yeah,
sure.
Where
that's
it might feel fixed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I feel like it would be fixed.
Not that these can't be fixed.
Yeah.
Have you seen Ocean's 13?
Yeah.
You can fix
Yeah, that's
table.
true. It's possible.
Movies are a very reliable source.
Yeah, I mean, so in all these cases, though, they are taking a rake all the time. So that was one thing we didn't talk about is they're always taking a rake of every bet. So, like, actually, Aaron, can you go back to, like, the FanDuel Sportsbook again, just that interface? And you'll see here, like, if you just go to the NFL again, right, and then you go to that first game. Okay, look here. If you bet on the on Green Bay Packers -3, and they win, you actually don't get. So if you bet $100, you don't get 100. You get 100 minus their rake because you see how it's -115.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd actually get what is that? $85. You get $85 back. You get 185 because you get what you bet plus your winnings. So that's where any of these are really like.
So why would you bet money then?
What do you mean?
If you're going to lose money on Green Bay winning, why would you bet money on Green Bay winning?
You're not losing money. You're getting your 100 back, and then your winnings are $85. So you're getting 185.
Okay.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
So you're not getting, if you bet 100, you don't get 100 back if you
it's
win.
Not 100%.
You're getting
it's not
a little
100%
bit less.
return on investment.
Exactly. Just like at the casino, right? There's a rake that they're taking. So if you play like a game of poker, right, with other people, the casino's taking a small percentage of every bet.
So let me. Recently, Usman in the UFC. I don't know if you guys saw.
Oh yeah.
That fight. So that is one of the biggest upsets ever because Usman was like clearly a dominant fighter the entire fight, all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Even a crazy dominant fighter up to the last 10 seconds, and then Leon Edwards, just like throws a kick and knocks him out.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say you are an individual placing a bet.
Yeah, let's not say I
15
did.
seconds.
I bet on that, right? So I bet on Leon Edwards.
Did you really?
KO. Yeah, this is wild, right? So this
Are
was
you serious?
This was insane. So there was like 4 of us
when did
watching
you do
this. This was when the fight happened. So we the same day we bet, right? We bet right before the fight. And there were 4 of us watching it, and we thought we were dead in the water. Our bet was screwed, right? Because like the whole fight, Usman's dominating.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then when he lays that kick, we're all like, "What? That's insane!" So I mean, it was quite literally like a moment of like pure elation when he won.
Yeah.
And we were on KO, so it wasn't just that we wanted Leon Edwards to win. We needed Leon Edwards to win by KO. Because if he had won by decision or anything else, we wouldn't have won the bet, right? So the payout was even bigger because we got him on KO.
So there was a viral video with Dave Portnoy in Barstool Sports because he was at that fight.
Yeah.
And it was plus 750 on that outcome.
Yep.
And, of course, Dave bet in that direction. And Dave, always goes big.
Yeah.
And, of course, when that happened, Dave is like...
going nuts. It was wild because you're exactly right. It was the feeling of just utter loss. Like the whole fight, we were like, man, we're done. We're like, and it was down to the last round. And I believe there was like 90 seconds left or maybe a minute left in that round. And we were like, he's got to do something magical here to pull this off. And then the kick came and it was like, wow, crazy.
So, but let me ask you though. So, as this fight goes on, the odds of your bet happening are going down, right?
Yes, but it doesn't matter because you bet on the outcome, right?
Right.
So even if the odds of that happening are lower,
you can't make
you're not losing money in that
okay.
in that scenario. You don't lose money until it's closed out if you bet on it, right?
Okay.
But here's what you could do, right? And this is where it gets a little crazy, right? if you believed in something, right? If I believed that Washington was going to beat the Eagles last night and the Eagles got off to a 14-0 lead, that bet of Washington now becomes much more valuable.
That's what I was thinking.
And so I could double down if I wanted to. I could be like, all right, in game, I'm going to bet an extra $10 that Washington's going to win this, and I could get the odds to be way bigger because the likelihood's lower, right? But again, the likelihood of it happening,
is diminishing.
Yes, exactly.
So someone who bets midway through the 5th round that Edwards is going to win by KO
is cleaning up. I mean, at that point, it was probably like plus.
So does the house
3,000.
make
literally.
money or lose money in that?
When an upset like that happens, it really depends on what percentage at the beginning of that fight was on which side, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it's like
So
60% is
the
on
house
one
probably
side.
made money then because no one thought that.
So many
Edwards was
people
gonna
are
win.
betting on Usman, right? So for them, they can actually clean up on some of those where
Interesting.
everybody's on one side, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's wild. I will say, of any of the things to bet on, UFC is one of the most fun things to bet on because it's like so.
I didn't know you watched UFC, man. We should be watching fights.
Yeah.
I want to watch. I
like
want to watch
last
fights.
weekend we watched UFC. Yeah, it was great. So, yeah, I mean, I watch it like not every weekend that it's on, but like every other weekend, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
watching, so,
Well, let me know.
It's good.
I want to watch.
Yeah, there you go. Just don't download FanDuel. But if you do, let me know, and
So
I'll
you
send you
can
the
send
referral code, and I can get the $50, and you'll get a $50 too. All right.
So obviously that's going to continue to be a growing industry as more and more states allow them to be to bet. Because it was a time where FanDuel was the only app. It was the first app in the state of Virginia to allow sports gambling. Now I believe you can do DraftKings now and Barstool and all that stuff. But like FanDuel was the first one to get in there with their lobbyist to get that. So,
and just so everyone listening knows, FanDuel did not pay us for this podcast at all, right? However,
I mean, if they're open to sponsorship, I'm all about it. For the 5 people that are listening.
Yes.
So,
yep.
I don't have a meme at all because we've been.
Yeah, I should have thought about this because I have so many degenerate gambler memes that I could have used in this circumstance.
Fun fact. So the reason why I bring up the Dave Portnoy because after that he saw talking with Joe Rogan, and that's a podcast that I've been wanting to see a long time. Is Dave Portnoy and his podcast. But random note, I don't know if you saw my text message yesterday. My buddy Gonzalo has a meme Instagram channel.
Yep.
And Joe Rogan just randomly started following him.
Oh yeah, is that relating to that like comic? He's like in the comic book space. Or
No, he has a political meme channel.
Oh, okay.
And he just said he's like, dude, what WTF is happening right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? And I'm going to followers, and I type in Joe Rogan.
And he's following him. How many people does Joe Rogan even follow?
But he said, Gon's like, yeah, he's definitely lurking because he hasn't liked any of the posts.
Yeah.
But obviously, I was just talking to him last night. Like, obviously, he likes a lot of the stuff you've been posting. It's more libertarian type memes, which is definitely more Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But he was like freaking out. He's like, dude, Joe Rogan just followed me. Like, ah! Like, yeah, dude, that's cool. Just probably send him a DM. And also, he has a Twitter account too now. He's got 30,000 followers on that. But Twitter is a whole conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, we covered a lot of bases there, I think. So
what's our podcast on next? Since we have a more consistent schedule now, since everyone's back in town.
I'm going to say it's going to be about marketing and business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is about dopamine. We definitely won't have a podcast next week because of the holidays. But next week we will.
Oh, we're going to talk about Black Friday.
We're talking about the aspects of business of Black Friday.
That's interesting.
And that's a whole nother aspect of dopamine that is
and
hit
psychological games that they're playing, right?
Right.
Increasing the price of something and then selling it on sale.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
But here's
looking at you, True Classic tees.
Here's since we're talking about the Black Friday deal after Black Friday's happened. Here's the thing about TVs that people need to be worried about. A lot of people buy flat screen TVs on Black Friday thinking they're getting a steal. In reality, you're not. So those discounted TVs, if you look up the model numbers, those model numbers never existed before Black Friday. Those are all leftover parts from previous models and discontinued items that either weren't working all thrown
and they're
together.
repackaged.
Wow. And it's a heavily discounted item because they're trying to get rid of old inventory.
Wow.
Interesting.
It's
Did
never
not know that.
any like. So if you want to buy a TV on Black Friday, you can still get some great deals on nice TVs that were already in existence. Like look for ones that already like if you ever look at a Black Friday TV that's like $150 for a 55 or 65-inch TV, it's like that's ridiculous. That's a great deal, but it has no reviews because it's a new model number and it's never existed before that day. Versus if you buy, you may get like $500 off on another TV. You're better off buying that TV because it's going to last you a lot longer. So if you have any intention of buying a flat screen TV, by next week, because that's when Black Friday happens, make sure it has reviews, because any Black Friday TV that just doesn't have reviews and it's a new model number, didn't exist, and you're buying essentially a piece of junk.
Yeah.
And it'll last you about 2 years.
Wow.
And then you're back at Black Friday again, buying another one.
So tune in next week or 2 weeks from now.
We'll talk
to
about
learn
the marketing, how the whole
more nuggets like
nuggets like
right?
that. So
that'll
don't buy
be great.
TVs.
And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLERS.
Well, we look like
what is it? I don't know what it is.
When we moved into this office space back in 2019, we went out Black Friday.
Yeah.
The news channel, like we went to Best Buy and bought everything this office needed. We bought like 5 or 6 TVs, refrigerators, Apple TVs. It looked like, we're just trying to take advantage of the deal. And the news channel was there, happened to get there as I'm loading my truck. And they're like, these guys are here for the deals. I'm like, no, I'm just buying this for our office. We look like one of those degenerate, Black Friday deal
I need
shoppers.
5 TVs.
Like, we had 5 or 6 carts just filled with stuff, and Best Buy opened a line just for us. But and the news channel just happened to be there, and we're on TV. I'm like, no, I'm not here. Just, I'm not a degenerate, Black Friday shopper, nor did I wait in line for this.
All right.
So.
Well, have a happy Thanksgiving to the 5 listeners listening still. And
we'll see everyone in 2 weeks.
Love you guys.